Drafting the Magic features the thoughts and opinions expressed by Christian Ilten, Erik Pessolano, and today's guest, and do not in any way reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or any of its subsidiaries.
So, Christian, I was sitting around the house a few weeks ago debating what to do, right? There's a lot of nothing going on right now. Everybody's kind of staying home and trying to find ways to entertain the people and keep their spirits up while we wait all this out. And
While we do nothing.
Being safe and healthy as best we can. How can we entertain the people? And I thought, I'm going to go talk to Christian and see if he wants to do a podcast kind of mixing the two worlds that we live in. Sports and Disney. Two things we're very passionate about. And the fantasy sports concept is kind of what drove the idea behind this, but I really don't know anybody who cares about those two things as much as I do. So I'm glad you were around. And
yeah.
I'm glad you were on board with it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be exciting to kind of go through a Disney scenario where we are seeing different experiences and, you know, letting our guest judge make that determination.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit of a help also for people who may not have been able to experience a lot of what Disney has to offer. This, by the way, is in no way, shape, or form an infomercial. I think we should put that out there, and you're gonna see when we get into the drafting phase of this. Basically, how it's gonna work is we haven't really determined the frequency of this, but every time we do a show, we're going to have a topic. You and I are going to discuss the different experiences that we have seen firsthand, which is a big part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And we're gonna draft, like you would in the fantasy sports world, which experiences we think are the best. We're going to put together a quote-unquote team, and then we're going to have a guest judge on, and they're going to point out which group or which team is a better experience. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think bragging rights and us being able to hold it over the other one's head between shows is going to be the thing I look forward to the most.
That's literally the point. Like, that is the point. Who's the winner? You all probably don't care, but we care more than anything.
and there will be a lot of sleep that is lost between episodes for me if I'm deemed a quote-unquote loser that week. Just
researching these things is getting me like, oh my gosh, what pick is Erik gonna make that I can try to top? You know, so it'll be an interesting time.
Yeah, and today you allowed me to have the first pick in the draft. I don't remember why.
Well, I said whoever picks the topic, should get the second pick. So if I picked our topic today, you should be allowed to have the first pick in that, because otherwise it's kind of sabotaging it.
So then our agreement going forward will just alternate then. So next show I'll pick the topic and you get the first pick. Well, that's an easy way to determine it. We could have done a coin flip, but people can't see the coin flip because this is a podcast, and that would be useless.
Yeah, and you can't do draft balls because, you know, if people don't see that, you don't ever know what's going on. So,
wow, that sounds like a backhanded statement.
I'm sorry, did I say something wrong? It's going to be a good show.
The other reason we want to do this too is we know a lot of our friends are Disney people. They love the company. Some of them work at the company, and they love to listen to this kind of stuff. So we figured we'd give them a little something in the meantime. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the jokes and making fun of everything that happens here, because that's what I like to do, and it's all lighthearted and fun.
Well, and you and I were talking about the different topics that we could go through. We were just texting back and forth. Like 50 different topics you can really go on with this. So I think it's going to be a really cool thing. It's going to show a bunch of different sides of the magic too. It's not just rides or not just food. You're going to see everything and all the different opportunities that you've got.
Yeah, and since we said that this is a first-hand experience, that the two of us had to have experienced it, it's going to limit us to just the United States.
Yep.
So, you know, California and Florida is where we're going to focus, and I know a lot of the people that we know are familiar with those two places the most. Let's also get out of the way here that much as the two of us love experiencing those two resorts, we by no means have experienced it or are experts more than a lot of the people at home are.
Oh, absolutely.
We like to think we are. We like to think we are, but we know that we're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got the people who are able to go to one or the other as an annual pass holder, and then you've got the people who are able to go to one or the other every 3 months because that's just how they're able to work their schedule. And there are plenty of people who know these places more than us. Mm-hmm. But I think we know a lot. We'll see.
we do know a lot, and it's going to be fun for me to hopefully see some engagement from our listeners and see what they think of our picks after every show. And the fun part about that is I can see the rage in a lot of their eyes while listening to this saying, why would you pick that?
Yep.
Or maybe at the end when the guest judge decides who the winner is and them being completely upset about it and then sending us an email and saying, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You need to have me on as a guest judge, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
Our friends could show up on the show.
It could happen. And that's the other thing is you don't know how the guest judge is judging. Are they judging attractions based on thrill? Are they judging it on overall experience? It could go any way, and that with any topic, they could be going in any different personal way. I think that's what the great part of the guest judge is it is a wild card. You don't know how that person is going to judge that episode. So
and real quickly, my apologies to anyone who loves the parks in Paris, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Shanghai.
We really want to go.
We do.
We just haven't.
We really do. Obviously, now isn't the best time, but
correct.
At some point, we would love to go to those places. I know at least one person who's been to all of them. Not one person who's been to all of them, but somebody who has been to each of them. And I've heard wonderful things about all of them. And it's a shame that, and I'm speaking for you now, it's a shame that we've been limited to just the U.S. parks. But one day we're going to get out there and we're going to get to experience
I need to get a passport first. So that'll be the first step.
You and I both.
I'll get to go to Disneyland.
You and I both, buddy. I haven't made that shift either. There's a lot of things that you've experienced that I haven't.
There's probably a lot of things you've experienced that I haven't.
I think you'll be shocked to find out that may not be the case.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah, I think at some point in the future you're going to find out that I probably haven't seen as much as you have. But we're very much looking forward to this. We hope you all enjoy it. We're going to get our first guest judge out here in just a little bit. But we'll start things off by letting you know that we're going to talk about attractions on today's first podcast. And we're going to hit them hard right out of the gate.
More specifically, attractions from Disney California Adventure.
That's right.
Current attractions, as it were. So, take what you've known in the past, throw it out the window for now. We're talking about right now, if the gates were open. Right now, if you walk into Disney California Adventure, what attractions you're going to be able to go on and which ones we think are draft worthy.
Yeah, and you narrowing it down to that category, I think, is a big point about what we're doing here, because a lot of people are probably thinking, how many shows could they possibly do with just attractions and food locations and maybe retail locations? What else is there? Well, when you start, there is plenty. And trust me, we would not be doing this if we hadn't thought that all the way through. And there will be a lot of, these categories are going to be very narrowed down, but still have enough within them that we can have a legitimate, quote-unquote, fantasy draft.
Yeah. Well, and I thought when we were first talking about the first episode, why not start here at home? Where we know where we are able to go instead of, flying across the country. Start off at home. Start off with Disney California Adventure, a park that has gone through many changes, and see what it's at currently. Before certain things open up, after certain things have closed.
And that's a big thing. And also remember, it's things we've experienced firsthand. So if there was an attraction that you've been on that I have not been on, I cannot draft it. And you can. And hopefully our guest judge will have experienced everything.
Yeah.
We're not doing this heavy background check and vetting process beforehand. We're just inviting people we know who will judge fairly and know the parks and resorts well enough that they are qualified to judge our selections. So it should be a lot of fun, and let's get to our judge for today.
Eric, I am so excited to welcome in our very first guest for this podcast. Our guest judge is none other than a man that many Disney guests have probably seen or heard of. You've seen him on the news. There's a couple of mini documentaries about him. This is a man that I've come to know throughout the years at the parks, Mr. Jon Hale, I believe Mr. 10,000, but it's even more than that now. Jon Hale, welcome to Drafting the Magic.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be with you guys.
Oh, thanks, John, for being here. And of course, as Christian just set it up nicely, that you're known for the number of times that you've ridden Radiator Springs Racers. What's the count at right now as we stand here?
Right now it's 12,737.
I might have 25, if I'm being quite honest.
I got a lot of catching up to do.
Yes, I do. So I guess my first question for you is, we know that you wanted to set the goal and go out there and do something that nobody's ever done. Now that you're at this number, is the attraction still as fun for you as the first time you rode it, or now are you just doing it just to get to a high number?
No, I still like it. I mean, the whole thing is the race at the end, because you do not know who's going to win the race. It can be random, and I keep track, right side, left side, what color car, I keep track, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's totally random.
Now, John, I know you've made a lot of relationships with the cast there as well, and at Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Breakout, and a number of other attractions. I know you've got counts at Test Track as well. Just tell me a little bit about how cool it is to have those relationships with the people that work these attractions at the Disney parks.
Well, I mean, once I got to 10,000, that's pretty, I mean, they helped me, just visiting with them every time I went, but that's pretty why I keep going after 10,000 is just going to see my friends now. I mean, the first time I went at Disney World was like 2017, I think. And I went to Test Track, and somebody there had done an internship at Disneyland and recognized me, and then told everybody at the ride. And then I became a relationship at that ride. And now besides that, now it's Slinky Dog Dash. Everybody knows me over there. So they pretty much, I let them know when I'm coming, and when I'm coming, they treat me right when I get there.
I think Christian just got his first ride on Slinky Dog Dash not too long ago.
Yeah, it's a great one, but I mean I've still got plenty of ways to catch up to you, John. That's for sure.
So, John, let me ask you real quick too. With everything going on right now, obviously we're in a strange time in our lives. What has it been like for you not to be able to go to Disneyland or to go to Disney California Adventure in present time?
Well, I mean, it's tough, but I mean, I understand why we can't go. So, I mean, it's almost like a little forced break, I guess you could say. But I mean, once they open again, I'll be back. I mean, I actually planned a trip for Florida. I don't know. Hopefully Disneyland will open before then. I mean, I'm not going to Florida till January, but hopefully I can get in some racers rides before I go back to Test Track.
Otherwise, that Test Track number might pass up racers. I doubt that. That'd be
have to move there, I think, for that.
Yeah, you'd have to live out there. But yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Is just there's so many people that are missing out on their regular life as of right now, right? Their job or whatever it might be. For you, this is like a second job, is going to Disneyland, getting to go on Radiator Springs Racers. So I figured it'd probably be that same kind of sentiment. You've got that kind of pulls at your heartstrings. You're eager to get back on that racetrack.
Oh yeah, totally eager, but I also want it to be safe too. Of course, I've already resigned to the fact there's no longer going to be a single rider line, so I'll have to get in the regular line with everybody else. So, but that'll be okay. Even if I get on once, it's more than I would have the day before. So,
that's a good way to look at it. I didn't think about it. That's a good positive view right there, and that's what we're all about here on Drafting the Magic.
Is it time to actually draft the Magic, Eric?
I think it might be time. I think we can finally get down to this.
All right, everybody. So we are officially going to be drafting the Magic. Today's topic is Disney California Adventure attractions, as mentioned earlier, and we have, I think, the perfect guest to judge that in Jon Hale. So we're really excited about that. Eric, go over the rules a little bit. Let's make sure everybody knows what the rules are before we start doing this.
All right, here's how this is going to work. Christian and I are going to select 5 attractions from Disney California Adventure, and then there's some rules that go alongside of that as well. I'm going to pick first today. Christian was nice enough to come up with the idea that whoever picks the topic, the other person gets to select first. So Christian picked the topic, I'm going to pick first. We're going to go back and forth. So I'll pick, then Christian, then me, then Christian, then me, then Christian. So it'll be alternating all the way through. The one wrinkle that I thought was good for today's topic that I threw in was you must take a non-fast pass attraction within your first 3 picks. John, what do you think of that rule?
I think that's a good rule. Makes it a little bit fair, a little bit.
Yeah, that was the idea. We want to balance this out. We can't just go big and go for the big thrills. We got to balance it out a little bit. And then once we've made our 5 selections each, John's going to talk it out a little bit as our guest judge and decide from if he was recommending to a guest that had never been to Disney California Adventure before, which 5 attractions, they only have time to do 5 things, which 5 things are a better group? My group or Christian's group? John will make the selection. Who wins? We'll keep a running scoreboard as the shows go on, and one of us will undoubtedly be visibly upset by the time this is all over. Because we are also competitive. We're sports guys too, and that's kind of where the idea came from. So, all right. There's been some background research done on these attractions, and also I would like to point out too that just because we knew John was going to be on the show, my first pick had nothing to do with knowing that he would be around.
Here we go.
Now, also, I'm not saying that I chose racers. I'm also throwing out the fact that if I did not choose racers, that I'm not going to change my pick to go to racers because John is on the show today.
Okay.
I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
My initial first pick has remained the same.
It is?
It is Radiator Springs Racers. I'm taking that with my first pick. I don't think there's a whole lot of doubt about it. Between storyline, aesthetics, the combination of thrill and dark ride that they have going on, I think it's something that was very state of the art, right? This is the kind of attraction we want to see in every theme park in America. I'm taking Radiator Springs Racers with my number 1 overall pick, and I know John likes it.
Oh yeah, good pick, great pick.
Now, John, obviously you've been on the ride over 12,000 times, and you've probably seen every single light bulb that is visible on that attraction. But granted, there's a lot, but maybe 10,000, maybe 11,000, 12,000. Can you think back to one ride that is just that? When you think of racers, you think of that moment.
I would say it's the 1,000 ride because I did not know what was going to happen at 1,000. They knew what car was in for $999. They pulled it off to the side there and said, they're waiting there saying, here, you got one more ride. And they jumped in the car with me for that 1,000 ride. Then they gave me a bunch of stuff after. So that is a very special ride right there.
Did you do it back to back? Did you ride $999 and 10,000 back or 1,000 back to back?
No, $999, and then he pulled me over to the disability load area, and
Okay.
then that's where the cast members were, and then they jumped in at that point.
How many times do you think you've ridden it in a row? What's your longest streak, like without getting off the attraction, or maybe just getting off?
Oh, I've always gotten off.
Yeah.
I've always gotten off. No matter where I was at, I've always gotten off. But the most I've done in one day is 52.
Whew. Oh, that was not a number I was expecting.
I'm going to be honest, John. I think you've got me beat by about 50. So,
well, I got a higher number at Test Track in Florida. I did 57 one day.
Oh my goodness.
That was with the little magic, though.
Hey, you know what? It doesn't matter how you get there. It's just that you got there. That's what I say.
That's pretty good. All right. Well, I think it's time for my first pick.
Yes.
I'm excited about this one, and I don't think you know about this. This is hands down my favorite attraction at the Disneyland Resort.
Oh wow.
So, and it's not one that normally everyone would jump to quickly. With my first pick, I am choosing Toy Story Midway Mania. I think John's going, oh man. I think that attraction combines the technology of today with the inner kid inside of everyone. You mentioned it, Eric. You and I get competitive all the time, even on this show. I get competitive. I don't care who I'm sitting next to. If I get the top score in the car, I want to make sure the entire building knows. I think it's such an exciting thing. John, I know you're the racers guy, and you've been on all the other attractions. What do you think about Toy Story Midway Mania?
I like it. It's pretty good. I'm competitive too, so I like to get that high score. Of course, it's easier for me to get a high score at Buzz Lightyear. That's when I could really get a high score, like 2.5 million.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a lot higher than my high. I think I got to 1.5 million one time. But I'm actually pretty upset right now because I thought I could wait on Toy Story and still be able to get it later. And now here I am having to rethink my strategy.
Good. I'm glad.
And that was the point of all of this, right? You never know what could happen. We didn't talk about what we were going to pick before we went on the air with this.
Yeah.
So now I'm a little upset, and now I've got to regroup and try again. All right, let's move on to my second pick. So I've already got racers, and I'm going to steal one from your heart, Christian.
Okay.
I'm taking Guardians of the Galaxy
There
Mission
it is.
Breakout number 2.
That's a good pick.
You know, look, I'm one who loved the Tower of Terror. Okay, and when they made the change, I will be honest, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it until the first time I got on Guardians and said, I think they made the right decision.
Absolutely.
Much more high octane than Tower. And I love Tower. I love it in Florida. Loved it here. But Guardians of the Galaxy with also, and this is another thing that you'll notice here is within our first 3 picks that we just took, you never have the same ride experience twice. It could always be different. And for Guardians, it is the most wildly different from ride to ride for me. With Toy Story, you control yourself, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But with Guardians, you don't control it, but you could get a different ride experience, 6 different ones, 7 if it's Halloween.
Oh yeah.
But I'm taking Guardians with my second pick.
Now, John, I know you've been on that ride over 700 times. So you've done that one quite a bit as well. What's your official count on that one, and what are your favorite memories of Guardians?
735 is my count on Guardians. And then that was a new count because when it was Tower, 290 times on Tower, then when it switched over to Guardians, I started to count all over again.
See, I like that. Start the count over again and still go for gold. I love it.
It's a different attraction, right? You have to restart the count. I think you made the right.
Oh yeah, I think good times are when you get to ride with the cast members at the end of the night. Those are the fun rides.
I like that thought too. As I know the cast member heartstrings, I like that as well. All right, my second pick. This one is a little bit of an easier guess because it's right above the other attraction I've already picked. I'm going with the Incredicoaster as my second pick. I think that California Screamin' was probably my favorite roller coaster, and it got better when they made it the Incredibles theme. It gave it an amazing Disney theme that keeps you on the edge of your seat. I love the audio. I love the visual elements they put into it. And Eric, that is what I'm going with for number 2.
Yeah, and I had that initially as my second pick, but you taking Toy Story allowed me to take Guardians because I thought you were going Guardians with your first. And I'm glad you didn't. Fair. So I got it at 2. I'm losing out on an Incredicoaster. I'll take that trade-off. For the high octane ride of Guardians. Yes, Incredicoaster is high octane. John, I want your thoughts. Do you like California Screamin' better or Incredicoaster better?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've only been on Screamin'. I have not been on Incredicoaster.
Oh wow!
Goodness.
It's tough for me to bend my knees to get on it. So,
Sure.
But I've been on Screamin'. I like Screamin'. So, no, it's a good roller coaster. A lot of friends there, but I just don't want to risk bending my knees to get on it.
Well, and plus, if you're riding racers, 52 times in a day, who has the time?
That's right.
So that would make a lot of sense too. But all right, Christian, nice pick there.
All right, so by your rules, Eric.
Yes.
We now have to go to the non-fast pass attraction. So, what is your third overall pick, which is your first non-fast pass attraction?
Now I'm gonna see how you like to take this because this is an attraction. Okay.
Here we go.
You're not getting in a ride vehicle for it.
True.
Okay. This is an attraction that is beloved on the East Coast, and they love it here on the West Coast too. And I'm taking Turtle Talk with Crush. A lot of interactivity between Crush and the guests, and it's great for the little ones. If you need a break and you want to go hang out in air conditioning for a little bit, and get a laugh out of it because they do make it adult related, right? The dry humor's in there, and you know me in the dry humor, right? That's the way I roll.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm taking Turtle Talk with Crush as my non-fast pass attraction at number 3.
I'm gonna say it. I like the pick. I had it a little bit lower down, but I did have it. John, I don't know about you, but I think Turtle Talk with Crush might be the coldest room in the entire resort.
Oh yeah. It is very well air conditioned there. It's nice to go in there on a hot day for sure.
That has got to be one of my favorites. I think the playfulness of Crush works perfectly with a Southern California guest, whether they're here on vacation or whether they're in the area for the fourth time in the week. I love Turtle Talk with Crush, so I'm going to give you that was a good one. That was a very good one. For number 3. John, what are your thoughts on that attraction? Obviously, that attraction's actually, it's been around for quite a while, I believe since 2005 or 2006.
Yeah, I liked it. Been on that one a few times. Oh, yeah, it's cute. I mean, I love how he interacts with the audience. That's great about it.
2005 on that one. So that one's 15 years old this year.
Wow.
Didn't get to celebrate the 15th anniversary in person or in shell, as it were. Yep.
Well done.
All right. But a big happy 15th anniversary to them, and that is Erik's third pick. My third pick and my first non-fast pass attraction.
First non-fast pass attraction. That implies you're picking a second one.
Maybe.
Okay.
You'll see. Is a attraction that I think got refurbished to possibly one of my favorite attractions in the theme park. And I always love how short the line is. Silly Symphony Swings is on the list. I think that opening up, because it was Orange Stinger, opening that up to making you feel like you're right on the pier, I think that was a amazing move. And John, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one as well.
Oh yeah, I love that ride. That's a fun ride. You can actually, it doesn't go too fast where you can actually use your camera, get video of the whole ride. Absolutely. So yeah, no, that's a fun ride. Maybe the Orange Stinger only went on like once or twice, but Silly Swings is probably like 15, 20 times.
There's something about bees buzzing in my ears that didn't get me on the ride as much as I probably would have gone on it. But I think that the music that they've accompanied with it is fantastic. You've got Mickey at the top kind of spinning around. I just thought Silly Symphony Swings was an easy non-fast pass attraction for me to choose. One of my favorites.
Earlier I mentioned to you that there was going to be maybe some shocks on your end, Christian, that you didn't know about me.
Okay.
I have never been on the Silly Symphony Swings.
Oh my goodness.
Nor did I ever go on the Orange Stinger.
Oh my goodness.
Your boy's got a spinning problem.
Oh.
He don't like it. Doesn't matter how slow.
That'll do it.
Okay, so that's
right.
Your third pick. You're gonna go with Silly Symphony Swings. I did not have that. Okay, transparency. I created 2 lists. I created the list that I wanted and the list that I thought you would do.
Yeah.
And so far, you have taken none of the things that I thought you would. Now, one of the reasons is I took one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 of them. I didn't think you'd go Swings. That one threw me for a loop, but it's fine because that leaves my list kind of intact. So it's my 4th pick, and this is an attraction that I love. I think a lot of people around the world love, and I think if Walt were around today, this might be his favorite attraction in all of Disney California Adventure, and I'm going with Soarin'.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say Soarin'. That one throws me off. But Soarin' has always been amazing. It started off at Soarin' over California. And they bring in Soarin' around the world a couple years ago, and you're mesmerized by the views you see on that, as if you weren't already on California. John, how many times have you been up on Soarin'?
Soarin's probably about 30 times.
Yeah, that's a pretty good count, actually. But for Soarin', for me, I mean, it's so grandiose once you get in there. You're outside. You don't really know what you're in for until you get into the gondolas.
Yeah.
And I think I called it a gondola. It's not a gondola. That's something else. I'm thinking of something else. The carriage. It's a carriage, right?
The carriage, yes.
Yeah, there it is. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, I'm Italian. I went to gondola. It happens. But I think with Soarin', again, visually stunning. If you have, a fear of heights, maybe it's not the best choice, but I think it's not as bad as people might think it is if you do have that phobia. And again, I being able to visit all the different landmarks, be it around the world, be it over California, that's going to be my 4th pick, and I think it's a steal because I had it as what I thought would be your 2nd pick, and I got it at number 4, so I'm ecstatic.
It was tough. It was tough not taking Soarin', but I love Incredicoaster so much. So. All right, so my 4th pick is not a fast pass attraction. But it is one of my favorite attractions, and you may have never been on it after hearing different things about you. Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, just down Route 66 from Radiator Springs Racers, I think is an amazing ride that is good for kids that aren't quite at that 40-inch height requirement that you need to be for racers, but it's an exciting ride with Mater, who's probably one of the most lovable Disney characters around, and that is why Mater's Junkyard Jamboree finds its place as my fourth pick. John, everybody knows you going down Racers, but how often do you go down Route 66 and hop on some of those other rides?
Junkyard, probably like 20. I think I've been more on Luigi's, probably over 30 on Luigi's.
Luigi's is a good one too. I like the new one.
And it's closer to Racers.
when Racers comes back up, it's an easier walk from Luigi's than Mater's if anything ever happens. So there you go. But yeah, that is my fourth pick.
I didn't think you'd go there at all.
I only have one more pick, and I've gone, okay.
And you actually did take, the two non-fast pass attractions that you said you would.
Yep.
I'm impressed. You're a man of your word. You stuck to it. All right, my last pick. And I've got this narrowed down to 3 attractions. And actually, I'm going to eliminate one in my head. I'll tell you what it was when you're done making your pick. And I'm going to go down to these final 2. Oh, my goodness. Where am I going to go with this? Okay. It's California. It gets hot out here. It was, last time I checked my weather app, today in Southern California, 179 degrees here in Orange County.
Okay.
Give or take a few.
Something's wrong with your app.
give or take a few degrees there. Okay. Got to stay cool. I'm taking Grizzly River Run with my final pick. Love the tube attractions that are in that design. Gotta love the drop. Gotta get wet. You get off the attraction here in California. You're dry in the next 25 minutes. I'll take Grizzly River Run with my final pick.
Ooh, a big. That's a good one. I like the water. John, what do you think of Eric's final pick?
Oh, I love Grizzly. Grizzly's fine. Plus, they have a single rider line too.
See, he keeps saying he loves your picks. That's scaring me. I'll tell you that. Which brings me to my final pick, and I would say it's between 2. But one, I think, just captures the essence of what it means to go to a Disney park, and that is The Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure. I think that the attraction that replaced Golden Dreams, granted it was just a show that was sitting over there, it got traffic, but when you opened up an attraction based on a Disney princess that has such great animation in the form of animatronics, I think that Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure has to be on my list, which means that I did 3 non-fast pass attractions, Eric.
Jeez.
Wow. Now let me ask you this. Did you do 3 because I took a lot of the fast pass attractions that you wanted?
Soarin' was on my list, but other than that, I did not have anything else on there.
So you had planned on 2?
I had planned on at least 2.
Okay. I mentioned I had narrowed my final 3 down, and I kind of cut down from there. My last 2 were Pixar Pal Around, Swinging Gondolas, to be more specific. There's that word again, gondolas. And the other one's Goofy Sky School, and I stayed away just because Grizzly was still on the board. But I did have the Sky School as a potential last pick. I called it my primary, what I wanted first, and then I had secondary, which is what I thought you would do.
I had Pal Around as a close 6th. I think Pixar Pal Around is iconic for Disney California Adventure. Granted, Mickey's face is on that front and center, but getting on that, and I think we all remember the first time we got on one of those swinging gondolas, and it looks a little less than the experience you get when you're in there. It is moving around. I remember that first time like it was yesterday. And the other one for me was Animation Academy. That goes back to the roots of the theme park and the animation that made Disney what it is. So those were my 2 kind of honorable mentions.
Animation Academy.
I loved Animation Academy.
Yeah, I had the Animation Academy on my list as well as one of the secondaries. Absolutely.
That's that air conditioning again, John.
Oh, yeah.
All right, John, not sure if you're keeping track, but here, let's...
I've been writing them down.
Oh, he's right. He keeps track of all of his racers. He's been writing them down. Okay, so just looking at that list right out of the gate, I'm going to ask you one question, and then we'll go to the actual judging portion. Is there anything that we did not select that you would have if you were part of the draft?
No, I think you pretty much selected the ones that I like. I mean, there's nothing else I would have probably added. I mean, looking around the park, probably no. I think you guys got the 10 that are good, the best rides.
All right.
Okay, I feel a little better about that. Plus, what you said earlier, Christian, about how many times he said he loved that ride when I made a pick. So I do feel pretty good about it. All right, let's go to the judging. John, don't hold back. Let us know what we should have done different to get your vote. Let us know which of the two groups of selections would you recommend to someone who's never been to Disney California Adventure?
Going by that criteria, if you've never been there, then Erik wins hands down.
Yes.
Yep. I knew it was coming.
If Christian would have taken Guardians, it would have made it a lot closer.
Oh.
But he didn't take Guardians, so he passed Guardians and took Incredicoaster instead. So Erik by far, Racers, Guardians. I mean, both those rides together, 13,472 times. So
wow.
I should have known. I should have known.
It brings me so much joy that Guardians was the swinging attraction for reasons I cannot talk about on this podcast. But I'm very excited. John, thank you for that vote. That officially means Erik won, Christian 0, leading into our second show. I beat you with Guardians, and I beat you at your own topic. I just got to come up with something. I'm going to talk a big game right now, and then our next show I'm going to end up losing. But I got the first one, and I will always have gotten the first one, and that's all that matters to me.
That's all he cares about. I'll say it. I think that this one's tough because there are some amazing attractions in Disney California Adventure. Toy Story Mania has always been my number one. And you know what? If that's the one thing that kept me from getting that number one, I'm okay with it. I'll take that. I'll take the loss.
And to everybody listening at home, if you agree with John, if you disagree with John, if you think Christian and I should have done something different, you can head to our social media accounts at Drafting the Magic on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and let us know your thoughts. And hey, if you have a topic that you want us to cover in future episodes, let us know as well. But for this first episode, let us know if John got it right. I might go on there and comment and let everybody know that he got it right.
There it is. There. I know you would.
Listen, John, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you doing this, and we hope to see you back out in the parks as soon as it's safe to do so. And again, thanks for your insight, and let's go after that 13,000 milestone next, yeah?
I'm ready. I got the sign already.
Oh, I'm so excited. John, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you very soon, my friend. Even though you chose Erik, we will talk to you very soon. Have a good one, my friend. We will talk to you soon.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, so there you have it. I got the first one on Christian's topic. That brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
You know, interesting. I'm looking at what I called my wish list and how I think things would have played out. I thought I could get Toy Story Midway Mania at 4, and if we look at how the draft went, I thought you were taking Guardians at 1. I really did.
Yeah, apparently.
And you didn't. You took Toy Story, which forced my hand to take Guardians at 2, and it turns out that swung the whole thing.
Yeah.
And got me that W.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, Guardians was my second pick if for some reason you didn't choose it. The way I had set it up, Toy Story Mania was going to be number 1. Guardians was going to be number 2. Silly Symphonies, which I'm still happy about, got my number 3. Soarin' would have been my number 4 if it had been there. And like I had said, Little Mermaid and Pixar Pal around kind of towards the end of that was the final shot on that side. But you know, like I said, Toy Story Mania is my heartstrings. I was born in '94. Toy Story were my toys I had in my hands. Yep. So you can't pull me away from that. So
I saw the movie in theaters, so thanks.
Yeah.
I remember it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say that. Anyway, what was there anything else that was altered on your list?
I had Incredicoaster as my number 2, so it ended up getting bumped to my third pick if it were still there, but you took it at number 2. I'd originally had Racers, Incredicoaster, Turtle Talk, which I took at 3 anyway, Toy Story, and then Goofy's at 5, Goofy Sky School at 5. But, you know, things getting adjusted here and there. Mm-hmm. I was able to pull Guardians to 2. I was able to get Soarin' at 4. I power ranked it at 4, meaning I thought you were going to take Soarin' at 2, based on everything else. The Toy Story thing threw everything off for my
and apparently threw everything off of the scoreboard too.
Yeah, and it did, and it worked out, and I couldn't be more happy about that. But it was interesting to me to hear Jon talk about that. He doesn't think he would have swayed from the 10 things that we had selected.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this, and I'll say this to anybody who asks me about it. I think that the transformation that Disney California Adventure has gone through is the greatest transformation of a theme park you've ever seen. Because it went from a ride or a park all about California to a park that's really about the awesome Disney aspects from everywhere. You go over to Radiator Springs Racers and just the entire Cars Land area, you see the beauty of Imagineering and how they're able to create something that was a parking lot. And now it looks like it. I can't remember it not being there in a way. Like, it's always part of California Adventure in my mind, even though I know that it's not. And then you go over to Pixar Pier and you see the transformation they've made on that end from the just general California Pier to really putting a Disney influence into it, unparalleled as well. That's why I think all of the rides and attractions that we selected would have been on his list too, because they've done such a great job at kind of pivoting towards that Disney everything.
And I think it was a great choice for a first topic for us, because we're here in Southern California, right? We frequent the parks. We know what's going on over there for the most part. You remembered Cars Land as a parking lot. I remember California Adventure as a parking lot.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember going into the preview center they had set up in a basically a trailer, a mobile trailer in front of the entrance gates to Disneyland Park, and going in there with my family and saying, I can't wait for this to open and let's see what it's going to be like, because nobody really had any idea. It was a different concept or different theme for anything that we'd seen. And we look, it's no secret, the first few years were rough. Everybody knows that. And you look at what it has become today, and I think it's a perfect topic for this first show, and I really hope everybody enjoyed it and enjoys our future episodes that we have coming out. And we talked about it earlier in the show about how many topics could you possibly do. We've just done Disney California Adventure attractions. There's a lot of other things we can choose from.
And I mean, and you and I have teased it as we've kind of talked about this. It doesn't have to be current attractions. It can be stuff from the past. It can be really anything that...
You and I have come up with a pretty big list of what we can do.
I'd say so.
But we also want to hear from the listeners also. Again, you can go to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Drafting the Magic, and let us know what topics you want us to talk about. If you don't want to publicize it on social media, you can email us privately at draftingthemagic@gmail.com. Let us know the topics. If we select your topic to be on the show, we'll give you credit for it. We're not going to steal your ideas. We don't roll that way.
Absolutely.
So it'll be known that you were the one who selected that topic.
Speaking of which, do you have any idea?
Not a clue.
Not a clue. Okay, I was gonna see if you had anything on your mind or not.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm all about transparency. That we went back and forth so much trying to figure out the technical aspect to how we were going to record this show.
You ain't kidding.
That I wasn't worried about any other topics.
Yep.
Well, I'll get there.
Yep.
And then I'll come up with something soon, and then we can get back to doing what we love to do is talk about the Disney parks and the experiences that we had. One thing we didn't go over in the rules that I probably should have brought up was, and I think we mentioned it earlier in the show, it had to have been attractions we've experienced firsthand.
Yeah.
So
which is why you couldn't choose
I couldn't choose Silly Symphony Swings. Exactly. So that was a big rule too. We stuck to that. And I think we had a pretty good first draft. Not just because I won, even though that's the most important thing, but because
there it is.
All the way around, I think Jon's insight and knowing what he's ridden in his lifetime. I'm jealous of the test track thing. I love test track.
Can you believe that? And he just went to California, or I'm sorry, you just went to Epcot for the first time in, 2017, he's guessing? 300 times. I've been on it 5 times since 2017, maybe.
You've done both versions, right?
I have done both versions of Test Track.
Okay. I have 2, which Makes that interesting for a future episode.
Yes, it does.
Although drafting 10 attractions from Epcot might be fun.
Yeah, I think we might have to adjust the attractions,
which we will
count. Which is easy enough. But again, any ideas that you folks have, get them into us because we're eager to do this. We're having fun. While everyone's not everyone, but while a lot of people aren't back at work, we were looking for something to do, like you had mentioned, and it was like, why not?
Yeah.
Make a draft.
And kids can listen in too.
Absolutely.
They're taking a study break from virtual learning or however it is they're doing their schooling nowadays. This is totally safe for them to listen to. Absolutely. We're not all about that. So
it's going to be a family-friendly podcast that is going to talk about some of your favorite things.
And we're going to try to be funny.
We will try to be funny.
It's a hard thing for us to do.
It is a hard thing for us to do. You have no idea, folks, at home. Anyway.
A lot of dry humor around here. We'll figure it out.
But a big thank you to everybody for tuning in for the first one. Because that's kind of, this is that wheels, getting the wheels going. And I think, again, there was nobody in my mind better than Jon Hale to really come in and help us with this one.
Yeah, he knows DCA very well, knows racers the most, and I promise you I didn't change my pick because he was
I know you, well, so that's the thing. I know you didn't. I know racers was always going to be your first, and in the back of my mind, I was like, doesn't matter what I pick second. Racers is going to do it. He's been on it 12,000 times, but little did I know, it might have actually factored into it. He said it might have changed it, so something I guess we'll never know.
That was a bit of a shock to me to hear that he based it off of Guardians.
Well, he said it might have changed it.
Oh, okay.
He said he might have.
All right, semantics games. Okay.
But yeah, and Guardians is an amazing ride.
Yeah.
That is thrilling and exciting, and will make you question everything you know in the real world if you've never been on it before. But yeah. So maybe that was the changing. We'll see.
Look, and we hope everybody listening, you enjoyed this. You can listen to Drafting the Magic anywhere great podcasts are downloaded.
You can also find us on our social media.
Yeah, it'll be at Drafting the Magic.
Yeah.
On Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Go ahead and drop off your opinions there. We'll put some poll questions up too to see who you thought won this first show. Obviously, John said it was me, so it really doesn't matter anyway. But from a public standpoint, who do you think won? And give us your thoughts and opinions on social media as well. And hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. And if you didn't, I guess this is so long. And we'll never do it again.
Thanks for listening at least once.
At least, hopefully you made it all the way to the end of this first one. And through to the second one. On to number 2. This is in the past. Christian, you got to put the losses in the past. You can't let this get to you for episode 2.
I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm not going to sleep knowing that I lost the first category I chose. But it's okay. That's part of it, though, is you get the first pick if I choose the category. So that's quite the handicap, I feel like.
Especially with you and I, a lot of the times we think along the same lines. But also a lot of the times we don't.
That's true.
But that's the risk you take when you choose the topic.
Very true.
I got to make sure for the next show it's not going to be something you go with out of the gate.
Easily.
And then also whoever the guest judge is.
Yeah.
That may factor also.
Again, if anybody wants to join the show.
Oh, that's right. We have to do talent booking now too.
Yeah.
Great. Can't wait.
Well, it worked out the first time. I think John was fantastic. And John, a big thank you to you for joining us, and thank you all for joining us on this first show. We're excited for this, and we hope you're excited too.
Round 2 coming soon.
It's coming.